Previously, I shared on how I built my digital marketing agency from a revenue of 0 Kenyan shillings to 500K in less than a year, because I started my agency last year and by December I'd already hit 500K in revenue. And with that information, I would be giving you more and more business tips. And as we all know, it's good to take advice or business advice from people who are actually building something. In that case, I would like to highlight some of the business mistakes that most people do, because everyone has thought of starting a business, or they have started and it reached at a point where you are either not making profits, or you are making losses, or you are not able to gain more customers, and with that it makes the business to fail. And since I have an experience of running a business which is digital marketing agency, and this is the name of my digital marketing agency, I would break down mistakes that you can avoid to make sure that your business grow, or you can also avoid when you are starting a business. So let's get into it. The first and common mistake is mixing your money. Most of the time is when you start a business, you are either being paid in your M-Pesa or in your bank account. And if you have not separated your business account from your personal money, you end up using that money and you cannot invest in your business. So how I managed to evade this mistake is I opened a business bank account immediately I finished doing my company registration. And this by far has helped me manage my business finances, to know how much clients are paying me, and to know how much I am paying my team to make sure that the work is delivered. The second mistake that you do when you're starting a business is having no records. Clearly, if you do not have records, it means that you cannot scale, and you cannot also account for the money. This means that from the moment you start a business, you need to start tracking your expenses and your income. And I managed to do this with Google Spreadsheet. I started with Google Spreadsheet from immediately I started opening my business. I keyed in the expense of opening the business. I keyed in expense of buying a website. I keyed in expense of buying a domain, transaction charges, everything I was tracking. Even how much I was paying myself from that business, I was also tracking it. So when I started, through the, I think around 7 months, I was doing it by myself. So every time I make a transaction, I key in. Every time I get income, I key in that Google spreadsheet. At the end of last year, November, December, I hired an accountant who now does that bookkeeping, management, sending invoices, doing following up on clients to remind them if they have not yet paid. And this by far has improved the health of my business. And knowing the figures helps you know whether you are making profits or you're making losses. And most businesses, when they begin, they usually like, my business is small, so there is no need for tracking expenses. But take it from me, someone who started tracking and keeping records from zero. I mean, from the moment I started opening the business. So this is to tell you that you need to do records. If you are willing to start a business, do all the records. Don't assume that you will remember, because most people also assume that beginning of the month, you are just spending, at the end of the month, you will sit down and remember everything. You will not remember. So the best thing to start is do Google spreadsheet. If your business has enough cash flow, then hire an accountant. Let them have access to your business statements. Let them write or combine all your expenses until where you are. Because keeping these records not only helps you to understand whether your business is making money, it will also help you when it comes to the tax season. If you are keeping your records, then it becomes easier for you to keep your tax clean and to know how much taxes you're going to pay. But if you do not, then you are more likely not to justify expenses and you may end up paying more taxes. The third mistake that most businesses do is doing impulse buying or unstrategic growth. Immediately open your business, you always feel like you are the one the market has been waiting for. So you want to go all out, buy the best furniture, rent the best office, buy phones, buy computers, any other electronics that you need for your business. But all this will just make you operate in negatives, especially when you are beginning. You do not need all this. Personally, when I was beginning, I did not buy. I had a computer and I had a phone, and obviously I have been working from home since 2015. I've been freelancing online. That means I have Wi-Fi in my house. So I did not go ahead and open a physical office. Even at to this time I'm making this video, I've not yet opened a physical office, but it is in the plan. All I'm saying is, when you start a business, start with what you have at the moment. See, if you have a phone, you can access internet, you have a computer, start there. And then start building a remote team. Like for me, I don't have a physical office, so that means I have a remote team that usually help me when it comes to delivering services. And some of the services we do is social media management, website development, we do website content and SEO, we do merchandise, branded company merchandise. So I am outsourcing and everyone is working remotely. I have not bought any fancy furniture, I've not bought any fancy phone, I've not bought any fancy computers or desktop. I am using the same equipment that I was using when I was doing my remote job. So when you are beginning your business, do not fall for that trap of upgrading, impulse buying, getting flashy things. You need to grow slowly, a step at a time, to make sure that you have enough cash flow, and then now you can invest on improving your furniture. Or after 2 years of running a business, you can consider opening a physical shop. And also, while you are at it, though I've not yet tried this, but there are usually grants that are usually available. You can also try and apply for them. And then when you get, now you can use that money to boost your business. The fourth mistake is having random partnerships and hiring people on the basis, oh, this is my friend, this is my family, and not having a plan, not having an exit plan, not having terms. You don't discuss terms. And I remember, this makes me remember about, I was discussing with a friend of mine and I was telling her that I opened a business and I actually hired one member of my family to be my accountant. And she was quickly, like, she was saying, I know she's doing for you for free, right? I was like, no, I am paying her. And then she was like, but she's your family member. I said, yeah, she is, but I need to pay her for the service that she's giving me. And I told her, if you do not charge, or you do not pay people who offer services to your company, you will not know how to have rates or to charge your clients to be able to pay your staff in your company. And I told her, every time you start a business, pay for those services, because when you feel the pain of paying, now you will negotiate better the next time you go and have a discussion with your client. And this is a mistake that most people do. You find that, this is my friend, he's managing my social media account. And then after some time, there is resentment, and maybe you break out and then they disappear with your social media accounts and you have no way to track them. So you have to start from the beginning. So the main point in this is, make sure that every person you contract, you have a legal agreement, you have a discussion, and you are paying them something, even if it's just a stipend, even if it's when you are beginning. Obviously, you do not have a lot of money, but make sure you appreciate that service with something, and have in mind, how much would you like to pay your accountant? How much would you like to pay your social media manager? How much would you like to pay your web developer? And answering those questions will make you now have a better interaction with your clients and to price your services better. The fifth mistake most businesses owners do is having emotional pricing. This aspect of saying, this is my friend, I know this person, so you just give them discount, you give them just small amount of money to pay for your services. But what you are not understanding is, you are doing more harm to your business than ever, because you will end up undercharging them, and that means even the money that they are paying you, it's not enough to run your business. And what happens over time? You will close down, because if the business has no cash flow, then that means you are more likely to close down. And another mistake also for doing emotional pricing is, remember the person you are giving them that price, they are more likely to refer someone else within the same price range. So you see, you are stuck in that cocoon that you cannot charge more because you charged person A less and the person A referred person B, and now it becomes very challenging for you even to scale. The goal is do not have emotional pricing, understand the cost of offering that service in details, and then understand how you're going to price. The sixth common mistake is the business profit is not your money. And the first time I heard this, it was an eye-opener. It was in a seminar or a centonomy class, and the speaker of that day came in and said the business profit is not your money. And that thing sat with me since up to today, and I've understood that every time you charge a client, and then there is money you use to outsource that service, and then there is you who needs to pay yourself in that business, and then from that is when now you make your business money or business profit. What does it mean? If you get a job and let's say it's 10,000 Kenyan shillings, you can outsource that for 5,000 Kenyan shillings, so it remains 5,000. Most businesses owners take that 5,000 as their money, so they spend all of it. But that's how you run bankrupt. That's how you close your company because of lack of cash flow. So in that 5,000 that has remained, you need to ask yourself, how much are you paying yourself from that service? So if it is 2,500, then it means the 2,500 balance now is the business profit and it is not your money. And this has helped me a lot because if you do not have cash flow, you will close the business. So understanding the fact that you need to pay yourself, it makes you clear that you will now know how to price your service. So because you are the person looking for the customer, you are the person doing the onboarding, you are the person hiring. When you are beginning, you are doing all those things. So you need to understand you need a salary out of it. So for every engagement, for every service you offer, you need to factor in your salary. In that case, it will mean you'll be able to outsource, you'll be able to pay yourself, and the business will be able to make profit. The seventh and the last thing is not reading business-related books. You see, running a business, it's not something that you can just wake up and grow into it without reading books. Personally, I read a lot of books, and one of the books that I recommend when you are beginning your business is The E-Myth of Business. Why small businesses fail. And in this book, the writer is giving us a story of someone who was starting a bakery, and she was doing everything. She was the one baking, she was the one serving the customers, she was the one washing the bakery, washing the utensil. In short, she was doing everything, and she could not scale. She was not making enough money, because remember, the mistake also most people do, like I said previously, is charging and thinking that if you bought an item at 50 shillings and you sell it 100, you have made 50 shillings. No, you have not made 50 shillings for yourself, because the business need to make money from that. It reached a point that the person was so exhausted they could not even work, and they just had to close down, because if the owner of the baker is not there, that means the business is not running. If they fall sick, the business is not running. So you can see that kind of challenge is there in all businesses, because when you are starting, even me, when I was starting, I was doing everything. I was the accountant, I was the HR, I was the sales, I was the client relations manager, I was the project manager, I was the founder, I was the managing director. I was doing everything. And over time, I've been able to delegate. I've delegated accounting, I have delegated social media services, I've delegated web development services. So you can see now in my bucket list, there are a few roles still remaining, but over time I'll still delegate, like project management, HR, clients relations manager. You can see. So I will continue delegating slowly as I grow, as I get more income. What I mean is, why you need to read books is you need to understand how to run a business, as opposed of just understanding that you need to make profit. There is a lot that goes into business. Another thing is, I've bought Alex Homozy book, which is on sales, on how to get leads, because without leads, the business will dry. So your leads pipeline needs to have something throughout the year, so that you can be closing a client, maybe one in a month or two in 2 months, or it doesn't matter. As you continue growing, you need to understand that you need to be adding in your clients, and that means you need to learn how to get sales, how to do cold email, what platforms you need to use to get such kind of things. In short, you need to read books, listen to podcasts of people who are running businesses successfully, and internalize and see what aspects of those advices you can apply in your business. But in most cases, you will find that most of those content, they are highly relatable and you can actually apply them. Those are the 7 common business mistakes that you need to avoid if you want to build a successful business. And it's usually a learn as you go. Start something. You can never be 100% ready to start a business. Just start, have a learning spirit, and continue learning as you go on. The problem is also other people don't start businesses because they are waiting to be 100% ready, and that is not possible. Just start, have the basic, continue learning, continue practicing, and over time you'll be able to build a successful business.